The extent of the damage is not fully known yet. We know that well in excess of half the population, probably north of 60% of the population, is directly affected by the cyclones. The earthquakes less so, happily, but we don't have a good estimation of how many people, the extent to which people are facing difficulty in the southern islands, especially where we've had very, very limited communication up till now.
Yeah, because that's a big problem at the moment. The infrastructure's been damaged and there is no power still, which makes it very difficult to assess the needs.
That's right. Work crews are working around the clock to try and restore power here in the capital. And of course, until we can get the capital stood up, it's very, very difficult for us to be able to support the relief effort that's necessary to reach the outer islands.
So talking of a relief effort, Australia is on its way and some aid has already arrived. What do you think is going to be the most critical area of help that people are going to need?
Well, our domestic air capacity has been significantly damaged. We had a lot of the island hopper airplanes that we normally use to handle, impromptu issues like this, flipped on their backs, which is, obviously renders the machines inoperable. So the arrival of the Canberra, the arrival of Royal Australian Air Force C-130 Hercules planes, also from the New Zealand Air Force. These are essential to us, just helping with the logistics. Now, there's one other challenge that goes on top of logistics, of course, and that's making sure that the people who need things get exactly what they need, and so assessing what the needs are and responding to them in a timely way is something that's going to take some time, but it has to be done right. Otherwise, we'll find ourselves dealing with the repercussions for quite some time.
And when you say it has to be done right, how do you see that playing out? What would it take to have it done right? Who needs to be in charge, essentially?
Well, obviously, the people who know, that's the National Disaster Management Office. These are people in Vanuatu who have dealt with cyclones before. We've had circumstances in the past, in Cyclone Pam in 2015, for example, where we got container loads of goods that were donated by very kind-hearted people who meant really well, but the stuff that they sent us was just inappropriate, and we weren't able to disseminate it to people in the outer islands. And so that makes it difficult because, of course, we've got the additional burden now of handling all these things on top of the relief supplies that we actually need. So I think that lesson is learned, and I'm pretty sure that the fact that Australia and New Zealand both have sent emergency assessment units out, hopefully that will mean that we get the right things to the right people at the right time.
Yeah. Dan, the state of emergency that has been declared, it's for another 6 months. What is this actually going to mean, and is it a necessary move?
Well, according to Minister of Climate Change Ralph Regan-Vanu, that will allow him to override certain amounts of legislation. That contention has been disputed by some with legal knowledge. The effect, however, is that the government will be able to conduct emergency spending and will be able to bypass certain appropriation requirements that would normally be in play at a time like this. It's a little bit ironic because we actually have Parliament sitting tomorrow, and so the government is in a position where it could add a supplementary appropriation at the drop of a hat, get the additional money that it needs with the appropriate, approval from Parliament. How they handle all of this remains to be seen. 6 months, some people say, is a little much, but we'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah. Dan, we've spoken before about these natural disasters that hit this island, yet how much rethinking and planning needs to go into really sort of proofing an island like this from future events, more stable housing? It seems as if, unfortunately, the same things happen over and over again.
There is a little bit of that, Bev, but I think what we're finding as well is that climate change is exacerbating the power of the cyclones that are hitting us. So as much as Vanuatu is prone to cyclones every year, the ones that we're getting now are so much more powerful than they were in the past. So this is, present evidence of climate change and its impacts. And it means that we no longer treat disaster relief. We need to integrate it into our normal planning. And that's going to be a real challenge, not just for us, but for Australia, New Zealand, and all our development partners.